you because he wants you to mature and develop your spiritual baby. Because you are not ready for it. In fact, you're still not ready to be fed solid food. For you're living your lives dominated by the mindset of the flesh. That means your mind is set on the flesh. Carnal things, selfish things, all about you. You're for it no more. Ask yourself, is there jealousy? First sign, jealousy. That's a sign because you're comparing yourself with others. Do you quarrel like children and end up taking sides? Jealousy. That means you start comparing yourself to others. Then that's when you start compromising. You can't walk in that level of boldness, right? Ask yourself, okay, do you quarrel like children and end up taking sides? If so, this proves that you're living your lives centered on yourselves, dominated by the mindset of the flesh, behaving. You might be a believer in the church, but you're behaving like unbelievers. So the battle, your faith, is all about your mindset at your cost. You know, what is it going to cost you? If God is telling you to move into something, what is it going to cost you? How much faith do you have to complete it? Is your mindset right? I was looking at this as I was studying this. Every one of you, every one of us, if we're set out to do something, right? It's already conditioned the outcome, how it's going to end up. And when I say that, like if I want to start a business, it's already, before I even started, the outcome is already preconditioned in my subconscious mind. I can have a good idea, be energized with it, emotionally charged, but then something's going to happen. It's going to hit my subconscious mind. And it's already going to be a success or it's going to be a failure, according to my subconscious mind. Every one of us is already programmed before you start. Already. So once it hit that subconscious mind, your core belief, that's where your results going to find. That's why 97% of businesses that start, small businesses that start, fail. It's not that they fail, they stopped. When they hit something, hit a roadblock. So the subconscious mind says, so anytime that you got to have breakthrough or an accomplishment, it's got to be a change in mindset. It's got to be a transformed mind. If not, you're going to have another idea, then you're going to go, outcomes are going to be the same. So I would suggest anyone who's starting a new business, you need to program your mind to success. Now just think about the mind of Christ. He don't have to, his filtered always through success, through faith in anything. He don't care what obstacle there is. It breaks through. There's no other option with him in his word. That makes sense? So he said we have to have the mind of Christ. When we know God is telling us to do something, there's no other option. It's a success. The only way it fails is because we stop. That's it. It's a battle of your mind. Obsession. How many of you think obsession is a negative word? To be obsessed with something. It could be either or. But for the most part, we think of it as negative, right? But it's not. Today, everybody, we need to start thinking about obsession as a positive word. What's the definition of obsession? Obsession. It is an idea or thought that continually preoccupies or intrudes a person's mind. So we'll take it as that person is obsessed with another person. Now, that could be anything. What was Jesus Christ's obsession? To do the will of the Father. He was he was obsessed with that. I'm going to the cross. You remember Peter said, no, 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 that would never happen. This is after Peter gave him revelation of who he was. You are the Christ. You are the Son. Upon this revelation, upon this rock, I'll build my church. And then he said, tell them I must go to the cross. I must die. And then 3 days I'll be raised again. And then Peter said, no, 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 that won't happen. He said, no, get away from me, Satan, because you're mindful of the things of man, or you are obsessed, preoccupied or intrudes a person's mind. You are obsessed with the things of man. I'm obsessed with the things of God. I'm obsessed because he said you're mindful. Your mind is full of selfishness. Could it be that you're thinking about your own position because you're with me? Could you be elevated in your position because I got the revelation? Then that revelation, could it exalted himself? Because he said, he told me I'm a rock. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? Right? So could it, in a sense, that's what he's saying. Peter, you're prideful because you're thinking about yourself, because pride always thinks about yourself. So he said, get away from me, you Satan, because you're prideful. You're thinking about yourself. You have the revelation, but you're still immature, because you're not mindful of the will of God. So when God gives us instruction, look who, Mark 5, look who else was mindful, whose mind was preoccupied, who was obsessed to get her healing. It's the woman with the issue of blood. Mark 5:25, now in a crowd that day was a woman who had suffered horribly from continual bleeding for 12 years. 12 years. So she had endured great deal under the care of various doctors, yet in spite of spending all she had in their treatments, she was getting worse instead of better. When she heard about Jesus' healing power, she heard the word about the healing power, she pushed through the crowd and came up from behind him and touched his prayer shawl. For she kept saying within herself over and over again, sounds like an obsession in her mindset. Her mind was set on touching his, if I can just touch the hem and I will be made whole. Sounds like it's a mindset. So she went to doctors for 12 years and got worse. Spent all she had. In other versions, it says she spent all she had and didn't get any better. Went through all the natural things she can do, and she still got worse. So I only have one option. I'm going to push myself, and she kept saying to herself, if I could even touch his clothes, I know I will. So her mind is set. So notice she kept saying to herself, didn't we say last month, we talked about meditation, right? Meditate on the word day and night. Then you shall make your way, it shall make your way prosperous and have good success. So it's getting that mind, you're setting your mind on the promises of God. So she wasn't deterred by her past situation and circumstance. As soon as the hand touched him, her bleeding immediately stopped, and she knew it, for she could feel her body instantly being healed of her disease. Notice, everyone who Jesus healed, and he said, your faith healed you, they were obsessed. The friends bringing in the man on the bed, tearing the roof down. Don't you think that's an obsession?
And think about it, what I love about that, we see that even though she had suffered for 12 years, as she's coming to Jesus, she's saying within herself, which speak to us that her conscious mind and her subconscious mind was in agreement. Because it could have been easy for her and her subconscious mind to allow the failures of the past to rob her of the healing of the day. Because, see, she had went to doctors, they failed her. She spent all her money. And so she could have allowed that 12 years, of not getting what she was after, to be so in her subconscious that even when she heard about Jesus, she would have talked herself out of it. But she talked herself in it because she said within herself. In other words, that self-talk. She was so preoccupied. Here's another point. She was so preoccupied with what she wanted, she could not be distracted by others. And what that speak to us about is a lot of time we are so distracted